Tales of Herding Gods, Episode 57. Eating fruits every day makes my mouth feel really bland, Chinmu said to Hu Linger as he rose from the sage's stone. Let's eat meat today, Linger. There's edible game in the mountains. Hu Linger cheered. There are muntjac in the mountains. I saw a herd of them and have wanted to hunt them for a long time, but since this is Sacred Spirit Mountain, I didn't dare to act rashly. Chinmu excitedly replied, let's go hunt one. Not long after, the two of them were roasting muntjac meat. They had truly been craving it and ate an entire muntjac clean. Hu Linger lay on her back, rubbing her bulging little belly, feeling very satisfied. Chinmu also felt full and got up to walk a few steps, activating the Hegemon Body 3 elixir art to speed up digestion. His steps became faster and faster. Unconsciously, he began to cultivate again, following the cultivation methods from disabled, elderly village. His steps were as swift as flight. Suddenly, he unleashed the thunder sound 8 strikes, each punch and palm strike bursting through the air with a roar of thunder. He then used his hands as hammers, performing the mute's hammering art. As he struck down, the air resonated like a giant drum, and he moved like a giant. The deep booming sounds made the forest leaves rustle, a clear sign of the changes occurring within him. He then performed leg techniques, followed by spear, sword, and saber techniques, his speed increasing rapidly. He even gathered his vital chi as a brush, drawing in the air, unrestrained and boundless, indulging his will. Suddenly, he performed the walking and severing art, creating streaks and lines like swords or strings, accompanied by the sound of a zither mixed with rain. Then he switched to the rushing thunder rock fire art, flicking his fingers repeatedly, causing thunder to roar and balls of flame to burst forth in all directions. A fiery orb slowly rose in Chinmu's hand, splattering streaks of flame in all directions. He performed the sunset sword art, then his vital chi changed, transforming his body into that of a white tiger, its claws and fangs capable of destroying mountains and splitting rocks. He then performed the 7 chapters of creation profound art, various spells from the Great Yu Celestial Devil Scripture, and various fist, sword, and saber techniques. Unconsciously, he entered a wondrous state. In his mind, the woodcutter's voice was intermittent, sometimes sounding, sometimes muffled, sometimes loud, sometimes deep. All sorts of profound mysteries poured in, filling his mind and then flowing out from his hands, transforming into wondrous techniques. He felt only joy in his heart, unleashing them freely. He no longer questioned what kind of spell or divine ability it was, or what kind of move or sword art. He performed them all, regardless of order or sequence, feeling his heart becoming frenzied. If the cultivation method of the Great Yu Celestial Devil Scripture didn't flow smoothly, he would change it. If the Hegemon Body 3 elixir art felt sluggish, he would let it flow naturally, adjusting the direction of his vital chi's flow, acting purely and naturally on instinct. He didn't realize that at this very moment, he finally had a profound understanding of the saying, don't bother with what the predecessors left behind. Don't bother whether it's the Great Yu Celestial Devil Scripture or the Hegemon Body 3 elixir art. However it flows smoothly, let your vital chi circulate that way. When performing various techniques and divine abilities, however your vital chi surges, let it circulate that way. Don't care if it's standard or not. The more he did this, the more profound insights he gained from the woodcutter's teachings, understanding and comprehending even more profound mysteries. The 3 heavenly kings were startled and quickly came out to look. They saw that in the forests of Sacred Spirit Mountain, flashes of lightning occasionally lit up, thunder rumbled, the ground churned, the air vibrated, saber glints and sword shadows flashed, and trees fell. The 3 heavenly kings' expressions changed drastically. Heavenly King Shur exclaimed, "This is bad. The holy cult master is heading towards the sacred tree." The 3 old men quickly soared into the air, landing beneath the pine and cypress tree. They saw Chinmu, as if mad or frenzied, indulging himself freely, casually unleashing various techniques and divine abilities. His vital chi even manifested various divine and demonic phenomena, whether righteous, demonic, or even Buddhist. He performed them all. Whether it was the unique divine abilities of the white tiger spirit body, the special defensive methods of the black tortoise spirit body, the wind and thunder of the azure dragon spirit body, or the true fire of the vermilion bird spirit body, all were displayed in his hands, unleashed freely. The three suppressing cult heavenly kings watched, dumbfounded. The great unification art. Heavenly King sure muttered, could he have comprehended it? He comprehended it. The great unification art of the Great Yu Celestial Devil Scripture had only one requirement, to be able to unify everything within the Great Yu Celestial Devil Scripture, including all spells and divine abilities, sword arts, and combat techniques. Besides that, it also needed to encompass the creation and 7 chapters profound arts. Only by achieving this could it be called Great Unification. The successive cult masters of the Celestial Devil cult, after receiving the woodcutter's teachings, had to comprehend their own great unification art. Only by comprehending it could they firmly sit in the position of cult master. Otherwise, for a sect like the Celestial Devil cult, which doesn't mind subordinates killing the cult master, changing the cult master would become a common occurrence. Those who could become cult masters of the Celestial Devil cult were all exceptionally talented. Every single one could be called a genius. Even the one who was slandered and indulged in women, cult master Li Tianqing, was a person of immense talent. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to plant a heart demon in Granny C's heart, which even village chief and powerful experts like Mute couldn't break. What shocked the three suppressing cult heavenly kings was the speed at which Qin Mu comprehended the great unification art. It was simply too fast. In just over 10 days, he had already initially touched upon the great unification art's periphery, beginning to integrate and assimilate. What they didn't know was that Qin Mu's so-called hegemon body had no vital chi attributes and could transform into any vital chi attribute. Furthermore, the so-called hegemon body 3 elixir art also had no attributes and could similarly transform into any attribute. Qin Mu used the hegemon body 3 elixir art as his foundation. Upon this foundation, he added, subtracted, and integrated the Great Yu Celestial Devil Scripture's teachings, merging the profound mysteries from the woodcutter's teachings, allowing his great unification art to initially take shape. He used the hegemon body 3 elixir art as the foundation, but since it had no branches or leaves, the cultivation methods within the Great Yu Celestial Devil Scripture became the branches, and the spells, divine abilities, sword arts, and combat techniques became the leaves. In this way, acting on instinct, purely and naturally, everything fell into place. After a moment, Qin Mu arrived beneath the pine and cypress tree. The three suppressing cult heavenly kings beneath the tree were extremely nervous, fearing that he would take advantage of their unpreparedness and chop down this ancient tree, which symbolized the holy cult. Unexpectedly, when Qin Mu reached the tree, he did not continue towards it. Instead, he sat down on the sage's stone, crossing his legs, and entered a meditative state. Vital chi swirled around his body. His spirit embryo stirred, and 5 stars shone as the 5 element gods each soared into the air, landing on the 5 luminaries. His eyes gazed at his nose observed his breath, which was like a white light, and golden light was contained within his eyes. Sat there motionless. Seeing this, the heavenly kings quickly lightened their steps and tiptoed away. As Heavenly King Shur walked away, he looked back at Qin Mu and sighed, "This generation's holy cult master is truly remarkable. The patriarch indeed had great foresight. The future of our holy cult will likely rest on his shoulders. Such talent is rare in the 5 elements world." Heavenly King Yu sighed, "Still, he can't compare to a sage who appears once every 500 years, a being like the imperial preceptor of Yankong. Once every 500 years, indeed." Heavenly King Lu looked at the mess all over the mountain, which was caused by Qin Mu's frantic running in the meditation room, using various spells and divine arts to fell trees. In some places, the fallen trees were still burning, crackling loudly. He said, "Rare in the world, it's naturally hard to compare to someone who appears once every 500 years. Our holy cult master is good in every way, except he's too destructive. Our sacred spirit mountain has only been damaged like this when the Tao sect and Great Thunderclap Temple invaded, right? Enough said. He's the cult master chosen by the patriarch, after all. No matter how destructive he is, we have to endure it. Let's go put out the fire. With that, the three of them went to clean up Qinmu's mess. Qinmu cried on the sage stone again, then sat for a long time before hunger woke him up. He called Hu Linger to hunt for deer. They each had a pot and roasted deer meat, but only ate half the deer, as both Qinmu and Hu Linger had lost their appetite. The little fox asked, "Young master, are you eating yours?" "I saw a few very plump fish dragons in the Guanyu pond." Qinmu replied, "I saw them too. They certainly whet one's appetite." Qinmu was startled. "I'm afraid I can't beat those fish." But Grandpa said if you can't beat them, use poison. Hu Linger cheered, but halfway through her cheer, she shut up. She saw the three heavenly kings standing behind them with dark expressions. Qinmu stood up and respectfully asked, "Heavenly kings, when did you arrive?" Just now, Heavenly Kingshire said amiably. "Holy cult master, please continue to eat slowly. No need to rush." "Oh, right. Those fish dragons in Guanyu Pond were raised by the 16th generation cult master." Back then, the 16th generation cult master lectured to his disciples by the pond and released a few fish. His act of transforming the fish into dragons and enlightening his disciples became a celebrated tale. Thus, these fish dragons survived. Holy cult master, when you have time, go count them by the pond, lest some fish swim away. Qinmu's face flushed slightly. "Cult master, how does the deer taste?" Heavenly King Lu chuckled again. "Let's all sit down and eat." Qinmu invited them, and the three heavenly kings didn't stand on ceremony. They each sat on the ground and shared the deer meat. Heavenly King Yu licked the grease from his fingers and chuckled. "The taste is really not bad. If I hadn't known these deer were raised by the previous holy maiden, I would have eaten them long ago." "They were raised by Granny C?" Qinmu's face darkened. "On this sacred spirit mountain, is there anything left that can be eaten?" Heavenly King Lu then said, seemingly casually, "The forest that the cult master destroyed was planted during the time of the founding patriarch. Iron trees grow slowly. It takes several millennia for them to grow that thick." Qinmu was restless. He had completely destroyed that forest, leaving only a few charred iron trees standing abruptly. Heavenly King Yu said with a smile, "The sacred heart flowers in the flower bed in front of the sacred heart hall. I wonder who picked them." Qinmu looked at Hu Linger. Hu Linger lowered her head, staring at a deer bone and swaying it back and forth. Her fluffy tail was unusually still. Heavenly Kingshire said, "Also, the green lamps in the Heavenly Ascent Tower, they contain sesame oil. I wonder who secretly drank a lot of it." Hu Linger felt Qinmu's gaze fixed on her foxtail. She secretly tucked her tail under her bottom and sat on it. Qinmu coughed. "Linger, your foxtail is showing." The little fox exclaimed, "No, it's not. I clearly hid it." Heavenly King Lu then said, not casually at all, "In the herb garden in front of the Medicine King Hall, there's an ancient medicinal tree. On it grew a large, reddish-bronze 9-leaf spirit mushroom. The 9th leaf was mostly gnawed away. That spirit mushroom was cultivated from the ancient medicinal tree. Its medicinal properties are potent, and it has many spores flying everywhere. The spores occasionally sprout, producing small spirit mushrooms." Just then, a small spirit mushroom leaf popped out with a pop on the little fox's head. Hu Linger raised her paw, pretending to scratch her head, and secretly plucked it, putting it into her mouth. She thought she had done it unnoticed, but when she looked up, she saw Qinmu and the three heavenly kings all staring at her. Heavenly Kingshire said, "Also, on the screen in the floating cloud pavilion, several cloud pearls were embedded. They're gone, probably fell off." The fox became nervous, quickly covering her sad little satchel. Qinmu cleared his throat twice, then stood up and said, "Three heavenly kings, I've been on Sacred Spirit Mountain for many days now. I suddenly remembered that I am still a grand academician of the Imperial College, and I haven't taught many classes. I plan to leave Sacred Spirit Mountain today and return to the capital. The three heavenly kings all breathed a sigh of relief. But out of courtesy, they still had to be polite, so they said they wouldn't force the holy cult master to stay there for enlightenment. After all, studies are important, they said. But the holy cult master must often come home to visit. Don't treat yourself as an outsider. Qin Mu also politely said, Certainly, certainly. Do you need us to escort the holy cult master down the mountain? They asked. No, no need. Three heavenly kings, please stay. Hu Ling'er blinked and said, Young master, it seems the heavenly kings are tired of you. Qin Mu stared at her foxtail, and the little fox quickly pulled it back. Qin Mu shook his head with a wry smile. Although you caused trouble everywhere, they're all minor troubles. The trouble I caused is even bigger than yours, and I didn't even complain about you. This is probably the first time in the history of the sacred cult that a holy cult master has been disliked by his subordinates. Never mind. Since I've almost finished comprehending the great unification cultivation method, let's go down the mountain. Hu Ling'er nodded quickly. Qin Mu experimented a few more times, feeling that he had mastered the technique of spatial teleportation. He then held her in his arms and said, I'm not entirely confident about this teleportation. I still have some pills in my satchel, so I can replenish my vital energy if it runs out. With that, Qin Mu leaped, jumping down from Sacred Spirit Mountain. The young man's eyes narrowed, then opened, and he vanished abruptly in midair. The three heavenly kings quickly rushed to the edge of the mountain, looking down, but they couldn't see any trace of Qin Mu. Heavenly King Yu used his divine abilities to look down the mountain, searching for a moment. He finally found Qin Mu's trace, breathed a sigh of relief, and said, The holy cult master is safe. He has reached the edge of the thunder-shattering forbidden zone that surrounds Sacred Spirit Mountain. Once he passes that thunder-shattering forbidden zone, he'll be safe. Heavenly King Lu's heart suddenly stirred. He hastily said, Two senior brothers, did you tell the holy cult master that there's a thunder-shattering forbidden zone outside Sacred Spirit Mountain? Heavenly King Yu and Heavenly King Shi exchanged glances. Heavenly King Shi said, Junior brother Lu, I didn't mention it to the holy cult master. Heavenly King Lu shook his head. I thought you two had mentioned it. Oh no. The three heavenly kings' expressions changed drastically. They quickly leaped down into the thunder-shattering forbidden zone. The thunder-shattering forbidden zone was set up by successive cult masters as a forbidden area to protect the sacred land. From the outside, no abnormality could be seen, but as soon as one entered the thunder-shattering forbidden zone, they would be bombarded by the thunder-shattering heavenly lightning. Not to mention Qin Mu, even a powerhouse at the celestial realm, if they fell into it, would be crippled if not killed. The three heavenly kings moved extremely fast, entering the thunder-shattering forbidden zone to rescue him. Even though they had incredibly profound cultivation, they were struck until their faces were scorched black. Meanwhile, outside the thunder-shattering forbidden zone, Qin Mu looked up at the sky, his heart still pounding. That lightning zone is really dangerous, he thought. Fortunately, I used the azure firmament heavenly eye to find a path and teleported directly out. There seems to be someone in the lightning zone. He didn't have time to look closely, as his body was already falling from midair. Below was the land of Yankong, with clouds floating everywhere, a magnificent sight. By the time the three heavenly kings struggled out of the thunder-shattering forbidden zone, they only saw Qin Mu's figure flashing repeatedly, growing smaller and smaller. All three sighed. Heavenly King Lu wiped the black ash from his face. Is this generation's holy cult master too unpredictable? He wondered. The other two elders deeply agreed. Heavenly King Shi said, At least it's finally over. Next, we should investigate Heavenly King Qian's matter. Heavenly King Lu and Heavenly King Yu nodded solemnly. Heavenly King Shi's expression became grave. He said solemnly, What I'm most worried about isn't that. It's whether our cult's teleportation device will be exposed. Speaking of this, he suddenly exclaimed, Huh? Look, below seems to be Guazhou. The headquarters of the sacred cult, Sacred Spirit Mountain, was hidden within the thunder-shattering forbidden zone, suspended high above the heavens. But this sacred land was not stationary, it was constantly in motion. There was a place on Sacred Spirit Mountain called Wangyuan Abyss Gaze. Standing there and looking down into the abyss, one could clearly see the scenery directly below Sacred Spirit Mountain. However, this trip was rushed, and the three heavenly kings didn't have time to check Wangyuan. As a result, when the sacred land arrived above Guazhou, Qinmu had already left the sacred land. The other two heavenly kings quickly looked down, and their expressions also changed. Guazhou. Guazhou is in rebellion. The imperial relatives are rebelling. And the momentum is not small. The holy cult master landed in Guazhou, I'm afraid. Just as the three heavenly kings were filled with anxiety, Qinmu had already landed on the ground. This teleportation had depleted most of his vital energy, but at least he was safe. So, what story will unfold as Qinmu arrives in rebellious Guazhou this time? Tune in next time for the continuation. Okay, that's all the content for this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. After all, your support is my motivation to keep creating content. I'm Qinmu. See you in the next video.